Good evening and welcome to Family Matters. Tonight we are talking about managing expectations. When you're done with school, of course you want to be something. You want to be a doctor, you want to be an engineer. I don't know how many of you want to be teachers. I would have loved to be a teacher, but I ended up being a journalist. Some want to join the KDF. They are serving the country very well. And others want to be businessmen and women, and some want to be musicians. But what happens when that particular thing that you want to be is not really looking so good? How do you manage to deal with that particular disappointment? And as a parent, how do you convince your child that even though you failed in this, you're still able to do A, B, C, and D and still make it in life? And of course, this being December, the results for the KCSE examinations will be out in a couple of days from now. KCPE results were also out. Those students, they have placements, and of course the government saying that there will be 100% transition from from primary to secondary. But for those who are waiting for their results, how do you manage the pressure? In studio with me is Irene Kamau, the Director, Kasarani Group of Schools. Welcome back to KBC. The last time you were here, we were on the other side of the studio.
Yes.
But karibu sana.
Asante.
And Jane Gashia, counseling psychologist, it has been a very long time.
It's quite a while, Edward.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I hope I have not been bad to you.
No, you are always very nice, Edward, and committed to your job.
All right, thank you very much. Director, there is this thing about wanting to be a great person in life.
Yes.
That I want to become a doctor, or I want to become an engineer, but when you finally receive your results, you look at it and then you look at what you want to be, it's something else. There's no parity.
Yeah, there's a disconnect.
Yes, but before we get to that, the results are out, and you wanted 400, but you only have 300.
Yes.
Now, as a student, what do you do? And as a parent, what do you do?
Well, I want to believe that everybody wants the best for themselves and for their children. We dream of great things. We dream high and mighty. Nobody wants to imagine that they will not reach their dreams. So when the results come, in the country of Kenya today, they have a tendency of classifying, grouping, and almost shattering some dreams. Mm-hmm. That particular notion that you're defined by the grades you get is a story that has been coined over time. And that narrative is not a nice narrative. We are not what we get. The papers we get do not define us. Mm-hmm. We are defined beyond the grades we get. Whether it's a 300, a 200, or a 400. Inside of every child is some good thing, some gold. So when the parents get the results, like I said some time back, they should appreciate the result as they come. Mm-hmm. Because the child is bigger than any one paper that can ever define them. Every child is greater than any grade they could get, even an A child. They are greater than that A, because you can have the A and be morally off and you still not make an impact. Your impact is within yourself. So children, parents, just receive the grades. After all, it's just a stepping stone to something else.
And Mrs. Gete, there's that thing about, I know so many of us, there's insults were there, that you are as dumb as so-and-so.
Oh, my. So
or
sad.
And most of the time they like to refer to the father side of the family. But psychologically, how important is it to ensure that no matter the result, be it good, be it bad, as a parent, you guide your child towards a future where he or she will feel appreciated, even if she's interacting with her colleagues out there, probably who has more marks or more points than her?
That's a very important question, Edward. And the first thing that we need to remember is that examinations, mm-hmm. at whatever level, cause a lot of anxiety. And this anxiety is both to the child or to the candidate and to the parents or the guardians. When results come out, in my opinion, the first thing is to manage that anxiety, mm-hmm. of the results, whether they are good. By the way, we assume
that when a child gets very good marks, they don't experience anxiety. They too get some kind of anxiety that can also throw them off balance. So when the results are low, because that's where many people concentrate on,
Yes.
it is very important to encourage the child, whatever marks, whatever grade they have acquired. As Madam says, the person or the child is greater than just the results. Actually, we are not defined by the results that we get, how much we go in the academic, ladder, and so on, because that child definitely has potential.
Yes.
And everyone, it is actually a fact now that every child and every individual has potential in themselves, and if only it can be established, what is it they can do best? They may not have done very well in arithmetics, but probably they can do very well in poetry. They may be very good in fine art, for instance. They probably can do very nice music and so on. So I think where the issues normally are is to imagine that if they don't get that high grade, if they don't go on all the way to university, get all those degrees, they are good by themselves. But surely they shouldn't be used as a base of judging a child. And by the way, Edward,
yes,
when a child is told that they haven't performed well, I've wasted all this money, I've invested so much in you, because parents sometimes may be tempted to do such things. It's very sad, because the first thing is the child get crushed completely, and their self-esteem that drives them in anything they would do in life is already put in the dustbin. And so we live with people who have no self-esteem. They don't believe in themselves. They don't think they can do anything good for anyone. And probably that is the worst that can happen.
Wow.
And also, Edward, what I look at and what I see in that scenario where the child has gotten low marks, I really don't see so much as for the child managing the expectations, because the child over time has been going through a process of education, has already been able to figure out what are their academic abilities. I think that expectation, to a large extent also, it needs to be managed on the parents. It is the parents who have a particular inclination toward a particular school. You see, when the schools are, the choice schools are apparently fewer than the number of children applying to those schools. A good example is Pangani Girls.
Yes.
Over 333 learners applied or chose Pangani Girls as their first choice, and they actually did qualify. But the Pangani Girls cannot, only 300,000 chose Pangani Girls,
yes,
but Pangani Girls can only take 300. Now what happens to the others? Now the problem is not only on the child, but also on the mom and dad. Mom and dad had expectations that their child will go to Pangani or to any other choice school. So when we have that mentality, we create a scarcity in the availability of chances for our children in the high schools or even at the universities, because we ourselves have a predetermined expectation. So we need to manage these expectations. The public at large also, or the government also, need to look at what is it they can do to remove the pressure from the child being admitted to those schools, the Alliance, the Mangu, and all these choice schools that we look at, the prestigious school traditionally.
yes,
Because the impact is not on the, or the expectation is that not that the child is going to join the children there. It's just that the name is really big. And you want your child to be in that school. When your child is in that school, daddy, where he goes and mixes up with the men, on that day, everyone will hear, my son was admitted too. Mommy, when she goes to Chama, everyone will hear, my child was admitted too. So what happens to the one who was not admitted too? That's where the pressure comes in. Because mommy and daddy have already predetermined where the song is, where we are dancing around and where we are happy for. If we can remove the pressure from the building, because for me to go to Mangu, we are thinking the building. But somebody in an article I read today had written, what if you took all those children who are in Starehe Boys or any other school of that caliber and take them, let's say, to Miguta High School, for instance.
Or Kanyawanga, where I went to.
Yes. How would they perform? And the answer was rather obvious. They would still do good because it is in the capacity, the ability of the child to deliver the grades that they are delivering, whether you put them in Alliance or whether you put them in any other school, let's say Committee Secondary, where I went to. But if you take these children and put so much emphasis on the geographical building, then the pressure of getting into these schools becomes so magnanimous. And the children can handle it, and the parents can handle it. And there's an outcry, oh, my child has been taken to a school I didn't choose, oh, and so on and so forth.
Ngatia, is it advisable to compare your children, or telling your daughter to be like your brother, or be like your sister?
Oh.
What's your take on that?
I can't even wait for you to finish that one, Edward. Actually, that, in my opinion, is almost an offense against the child. Comparing children is one of the things we say never, never. To any parents or even a teacher or wherever it is, the child is being taken through, we never compare children, one child with another. Worse still, we don't compare children within a generation. And talking about during my times, in my days, you know, we are very tempted to say that. And that is completely out of place because the child didn't live in that generation in the first place. So they have no idea what I'm talking about. The second thing is a child has an ability that is not equal to another child. So we need not compare them, but we need to see them as unique individuals because the fact is, individuals are unique. And there's no one person on earth who is like another in terms of their way of thinking, in terms of their potential, ability, call them brain capacities, academic performance. Every person has their own, you know, roof to hit. And we are not at the same level. So when we raise the bar too high, for a child who can only jump this high, then we are not being fair. So we need to treat children differently, but the most important, as I may have said earlier, is to be able to establish what is it that this child can do best. And it's very easy to establish that. Thank God for the new school curriculum, the competence-based curriculum, because we are now able to identify, and probably Madam would be better placed to talk about that, which child can do better in music. And then we concentrate on that, and we kind of promote that kind of thing.
So it means that parents won't be surprised. You want your daughter to become a doctor, and then a few years into university, they come home telling you that I want to become a rapper or a dancer. What do you do?
Edward, I'm just wondering, when you want as a parent your child to become a doctor, really, do you really want your child to become a doctor? Or do you want them to become what you thought you should have become? Is it possible that actually you're trying to relieve yourself in your child? You want the child to live the life you think should be, or where you already are. If you're an engineer and you want your child to be an engineer, are you trying to reproduce you in your child? So that's why I kept saying it is really more of a parental issue.
Yes.
Let the parents manage their own expectations of their own children. And understand this, as the counselor has said, there are no children, even if they are born of the same mother, same father, that are of equal abilities. At the Kasarani group of schools, we nurture the talents of the child. First we go out, we identify it. Then we nurture you and grow you and then place you in a place where you can be identifiable by the people that matter in that particular industry. So if you want to become a rapper and daddy is head over heels, you cannot be a rapper. It's because daddy does not see how rapping could actually be a way of life. Because in his generation where he's coming from, and I'm not saying he's wrong, it's just that in his time, it was really not a way of life. But in the modern days, anything taken to a notch higher can actually provide you with an alternative way of life. The CBC curriculum allows the entire system to identify such learners, and so that not everybody is expected to do good on pen and paper. I said there is a part for pen and paper, but we want to be able to identify the competency of a child. How competent is this child? If they are competent in, let's say, writing, then why not become a writer? But if you tell mommy that I want to become a writer, mommy hits the roof, because all she knows is you got to be a nurse, you want to become a teacher, you want to become a, tell mommy you want to become a ballet dancer, and they will go, and who is that? Who does that for life? Maybe for fun. But this is a way that we need, a way of life that we need to change. It's not a problem of the child. It's also not a problem of the parent, given where they're coming from. It's just a societal thing. We need to, like, coin another story, make a story that allows the parents and the entire community at large to say, actually, Edward, you're good at what you do. If you're a plumber, I'm going to respect you because you're a good plumber and you've got certain values. When I send you for materials, you're going to deliver them exact and do a good job. That's what we need to inculcate. Okay. So CBC helps us identify those values, work in collaborative efforts, ensure that we have citizenship in us so that we are proud to be Kenyans, and also help us even to bring out something we call self-efficacy. So I'm not going to allow you to look down on me because I am a cook. I'm going to be the best chef there is, and I'll be the head chef wherever I will go, and I'll make the big bucks as a head chef.
Wow. And Ngeta, as we wind up, I know we have probably a minute or so. Life is always about making a difference, breaking that glass ceiling. And therein lies that potential to break through probably what your siblings or your neighbors never did, realizing that potential. And it's all psychological. Even without the help of someone else, a teacher or a parent, is there a way, possibly, that as a young woman or as a young girl, you can inculcate this kind of a feeling that will probably propel you towards a future that not even your parent ever imagined that their daughter or their son can have?
Yeah, very important observation there, Edward. Yes, people can, spring up. They can jump up and bounce to wherever distance they want to get to. Sometimes it's difficult because what people tell us is as important as what we think. So that external, we call it external locus of evaluation, what people tell me about myself is so important that it will actually kill me or make me keep going the distance I wanted to cover. So it's important that people are motivated because that internal motivation can easily be killed by what others are saying. For instance, if a parent keeps on telling a child that you are good for nothing, you failed exams, you didn't go to this school or the other, as we were talking about earlier on, that is very terribly wrong. The child should always be told, yes, you did your best and you can do better. Let's see where you can fit in this time. However, a person can, break barriers and defy, that which they are told and just say, I believe in myself and I know that I can get places, although that does not happen so easily. So it's important that that internal motivation is there, which should be promoted by the external in a very bigger way.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but time has run out. I wish we could do this longer.
But just to mention something she has said, just one quick one.
All right.
Every parent should speak life into their children, irregardless of what they have. Speak life. They will bounce up as long as we are speaking life. We speak it to ourselves and the parents speak it to us.
Erin Kamau, thank you very much. Jen Ngatia, and you are always welcome to the program. And if you're waiting for your results, KCSE that is, do so. And they will be out probably before Christmas. Let's hope so. And if you want to become a doctor, we wish you the best. If you want to become a journalist, possibly this will be your seat in a couple of years. But thank you very much for keeping us company. The rains are still pounding most parts of the country. The weatherman tells you that you should watch out. If you are in low-lying areas, please do move up, because we need this country, with the 47 million of us, we need each other, and we need to pull towards one accord. My name is Edward Kabasa. On behalf of the team here, have yourself a very wonderful night ahead and a prosperous week. Asante.